Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rayados 90 podcast. I'm your host, Eddie, and joining me as always is Fernando and Samira. Um, First,
What up?
sorry if you can hear there's an ice cream man. I live in a good I live in a Mexican neighborhood in LA. So yeah, so if you hear that, sorry. And yeah, I
I,
can't since we're doing this live, I can't be like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to hit the stop record button and then just let it pass and then go forward. So now you get the whole sound. Well,
it's fine.
yes. So we're recording, or I'm used to saying we're recording on a Tuesday, but we're live. Um, I There's a lot of things to get into. So Tato Noriega and Hector Lara are out. In or well, officially in
For now.
is Walter Virti as the sporting director, and we'll get into his reported how his position is going to work, and also officially is the departure of Sergio Canales. Um, I'll let you, Samira, start us off while I don't have this in background in my noise. Where do you want to start? Go ahead. I'll let you take the floor.
We can start with the Walter Erbiti position, the sporting director. It's crazy because I saw a lot of comments on Twitter and X, and it was like, how are you gonna get that position if you still don't have who's gonna be his boss? And it makes total sense, and I think we mentioned that before, but I mean, it's again, we're going into something that he has no experience. However, he knows the club. So I'm not happy 100%, but I'm not mad also cuz I mean at least for the love or the respect he would have for the club, he would try to do a good job, especially if it's the first opportunity he's getting and almost having confirmed that Dennis Teclois, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but that Dennis gonna come to Rayados. It's like if he if that rumor was already out and they were concerned that that rumor was gonna get out really fast, which it did, that everyone was gonna know. So if the club already knows that he's gonna be there, I'm pretty sure he knows already that what the Enviti was gonna get that position. So I feel unless it's like super no one's talking and no one's sharing information in between the whole club and management, that I don't think that's actually happening, because if they're leaving and they're, I mean, I really hope so. I'm honestly, I'm putting everything out being positive, but at the same time it's that concern that he doesn't have any experience, and I don't I don't know if Dennis knows that what the Viti is gonna be there. So I I don't know what to say. I'm honestly like 50-50, but at the same time, it's like I wish someone with more experience would be on that position because we really need it. Maybe he's learning the mistakes of what it's kicking out Lara, but again, it's me saying all the positive things before being negative and be like, he doesn't have an experience, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So what's reported, and I think it was Willie Gonzalez who reported. I think it was him. Uh, that Erviti is gonna be not involved in like contracts. It's who's signing who, the contract. He's more gonna be like a helicopter to make sure players are in, you know, not in extracurricular activities, whatever you want to use, whatever you want to fill that in with. Kind of just keep. I think it's just be a helicopter and keep the players in check. At least that's what I'm thinking. Uh, but we'll see how everything turns out. There's still technically not a president yet, although you know um, the closest contract doesn't officially end to the end of June, so you really can't. You can't. I mean, I'm sure you can like do things under the table and be like, "Hey, we're thinking about this. Can you respond?" Or so something. They can't officially associate him with the club and stuff like that, right? But you can do things under the table. It's not like, okay, he doesn't know what the hell's going on. It's not until he arrives on July 1st and it's like, okay, what was going on? But yeah, he's uh, yeah. So I'm assuming that's if that's the role he's going to be a helicopter, quote unquote, helicopter parent, kind of just keep the players in check. I can get
We needed
on.
that for Campos.
Yeah, we can get on board with. I can get on board with that. But like you said, if he ends up, you know, being contracting players or being part of, the I just want the president to do what the hell he needs to do, and then here's what my plan is. Everybody get on board. If you're not getting on board, please get out of the way. That's just what I want. That's what I want. I want the president to be for lack of a better word, judge, jury, and executioner. Like everything goes through him, nothing else. Like it's his vision. And everybody's just on board with that. That's what I hope. That's what I hope that's the case. But Fernando, go ahead and tell me what Go ahead with your thoughts.
So, I really hope that he does that function that you're mentioning, being that like he hovers around the players and kind of gives them that connection not only to like the higher ups in the club but also to be able to do reviews more closely, which uh I feel like right now it's it's actually complicated, the situation that we're currently in, due to the whole situation that has happened in the past, with players that have received contracts that are like way too big for what they should be earning, players that don't come in, that come in and straight away have those higher wages. Like, I feel like now having a little bit more connection with what Walter Erviti is supposed to be doing is at least paying more attention to like how they're developing in training, how they're developing in those activities that they have to work together as a team. So it's complicated seeing him being thrown into the position, especially because like Sammy mentioned, we're currently just waiting on the Gloys to be appointed. And if the club is smart enough to kind of go over those decisions, point to Walter Ribiti right now because they know that he's gonna fall under the Gloys. That would be amazing because if they end up doing that, that means that they're actually planning for the future and planning it correctly. But something that came up in the message that they sent whenever they announced Lara and Tato going out and then appointing Arbiti is like it kind of showed all the way at the bottom like, hey, this is just temporary while the board does assign somebody that will be filling his position in the future. So I to begin with, I do think that right now he's just more of an interim that he's taking care of, like what will happen in the club in the next 2 months, because from my understanding is the Glaze won't be able to take charge until almost the start of next season, a little before. So right now, I feel like we need to start with the right foot. So all of the all the news that we're seeing, all the pictures that we're seeing, everything that has been linked so far, I feel like Rayados right now has started building like a folder with all the players that, hey, like, you know what, we might be able to like get someone like this. He's gonna fit maybe like the future play style that we're gonna be playing, and also there there's a lot going on right now with the club without appointing a manager, meaning that they're building that like repertoire of players that we might be getting in the future. And honestly, I really don't like that they're doing that straight away without even appointing the Cloys, because like how are we even in communication about this? Does that mean that he's working since like over there in like in the Netherlands, working two jobs right now because he's still working on finishing with the Feyenoord, and he's also working with Rayados already, and like distance communication. I really don't know how this is being handled because there's a lot of moving gears right now that can affect and honestly can give us a bad start to next season. But I just hope they can solve it before. Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's something
Yeah.
kind of complicated.
uh, yeah. No, yeah, it's a complicated situation, but I mean, like I said, I think it's I want to give the team the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, there's the the way the team is structured, the way it's reported that he's going to be operating is something I'm okay with. It's fine. Just making sure it's yeah, making sure players are what they're supposed to be doing. No more, kind of making sure they're taking care of themselves better. Like I'm not saying they shouldn't be, they can't go out and party or the way Aceves is saying he can go out for tacos. But I think you're an athlete. You got to take care better. Take care of your body and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens there. But obviously, the Noriega era and the Lara, I guess we'll touch on them since we're on this part. Um, I mean, it started off well. I mean, you go and get a guy like Canales, you get guys like Ocampos, Oliver Torres. He did get Victor Guzman. Like, it started off super, super well. But then, obviously, this was a short term project. It wasn't something that, you know, like I think I've said it in the past, kind of like an Arsenal, where it's like you're building, it's 3 or 4 years from now, right? You're just adding everything together. This was we need to win in the next year or two, or else it's going to be a failure, right? Um, and so it 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 just didn't work out. He couldn't get the coach right, um, and it just the players kind of at the end of the day they they have an ego, whatever you want to call whatever went wrong, but it is what it is. And then let's get into the contracts. I mean, the game against Santos. I mean, we haven't even touched on that. It was a game between two bad teams that just. It's clear that both sides just wanted to get this over with, or at least Monterrey looked like it.
Yeah.
You did have a really good goal from Mojica, although it was called back for offside, I believe it was. And then you,
Offside.
Yeah.
Sad.
and then you have Mele, who has been playing these last two games. Uh, and they were playing him to try to generate a market from him because it was clear, like once the season was over, or once the Liga race was over, it's clear. Let's get some of these players playing, so you know they can generate interest. And that was it. That first goal that Mele came out. I didn't think he came out bad,
It
but
was an unlucky bounce.
yeah,
He's
he,
very unlucky.
yeah, he's very
Yeah.
a very. I don't know if you want to use the word clumsy or
Yeah.
what, but yeah,
Looks
then
like that.
the ball took a weird bounce, and then obviously it was going to be a penalty kick if it didn't
It like
score.
Yeah.
It was going to be a penalty regardless.
I
And
mean,
then
technically it was outside the area, so it wouldn't have been called as a penalty.
was it? I don't.
It was just exactly outside the area
Ugh.
because he used more of his body and hit it with the side of his like body, kind of blocking the whole thing. That's how it spun, and it gave that effect going backwards. And yeah, that's what generated the force enough for it to like bounce back, and like that's just a clear chance of goal. I don't think any keepers would have been able to like come back from that.
Yeah,
And if there are, it's like maybe one or two in our league, but it was just bad luck on the first one.
yeah, no, it was. And go back to the previous comment from at Cronopio. Yeah, he generates a lot of doubt. Yeah, I had my doubts with Andrada, but then you see Mele play, and it's just you just have to wonder what exactly was the thought process behind his. I mean, he was playing. At least it wasn't like a Johan Rojas where you grab them from like Equidad, which is like a small club in I think it's Bogota. I want to say, and then you get Mele who played at Junior de Barranquilla, and at least that's a club with some type of like championship ambition in Colombia. But man, oh man, it's just hasn't been it hasn't worked, and now you're wondering. And I guess circling with what I was saying with Tato Noriega, another aspect that kind of was the nail in his coffin is that he gave some players like these long term contracts. So you still have 3 more years of Mele. You have 2 more years of Sebastian Vegas. You have another year of Corchos,
Andrada.
Sammy's favorite player, and you have another year of Andrada. I don't know what's. I thought Stefan Medina's contract ends this June, but now I'm reading. I don't know. I think it ends this June. At least I was thinking that was again because Mexico is so secretive with their contracts. Not like in Europe where you can just automatically see, when a contract is expiring. You they have like I didn't even know like Canales had like this secretive he can trigger an extent because it's so secretive. They don't report as extensively as you do like when you're following a European team where more often than not you see these uh, people whatever the contract is the contract. Maybe once in a while you'll get like a random oh he plays X amount of games, it'll trigger an extension or something like that. But yeah, so yeah, four really bad contracts, and all of them are foreign players, and I that's probably kind of why this the inability to hire a coach and then the bad contracts are kind of what did him in, and also when the project was kind of over after the Club World Cup and players started to leave, not finding the right combination of replacements really kind of did him in. I mean, you lose. I mean, Hector Moreno was kind of sort of retired, but then you replace him with an Aceves. I mean, I'll still give him another 6 months to see if he's actually going to do something. You don't really kind of replace the player that Nelson Deosa is.
Nah.
You don't. You did not replace Sergio Ramos. I'm not a big fan of Carlos Salcedo.
Neither.
And who else? I think Berterame left. Juca.
Amen.
It's 3 goals or what was it like that? Ali Avila had a little bit more than him. Um, Roberto de la Rosa. It's just this squad just fell off. Like it fell off a cliff
Allergic.
really, really, really bad after the Club World Cup. Um, and yeah, so I think that's. I mean, I'll let you guys. Where do you guys want to start with the Noriega funeral or obituary on his tenure? I'll go with Fernando first.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't win anything with the men's team, correct?
Mm-mm.
He just won the back-to-back champions
With the
with the
women's.
female squad, and
I
that's
mean, and
about
even
it,
then,
right?
he wasn't even like in
That
charge because
involved.
you got Eva Espejo running that side. So it's I don't even give him the credit for that. So I mean, you could technically say, oh, he's the overall president of the club, but when you have somebody else in charge of that,
I mean,
it's like how much credit should you be getting? But yeah, he technically, if you want to give him credit for that, but I really don't.
not really. Like like you said, it's not like we're gonna give him the benefit of like, hey, he also won his championships for like the under 23s, 21, or anything like that. Uh, I like taking a look back at the way that we kind of handled uh his era. I feel like we took more of a relegation team's approach of staying in the league competitively. Usually you see teams like the Premier League in Spain that just came up the division, start grabbing those older players that teams start to like get rid of, and you started seeing that with players like Canales, Cocampos, Oliver Torres, with Sergio Ramos, that you kind of bring them for the experience, and you understand that they're not going to last you for long. They're just to keep you competitive. They're not really there to give you that edge over other teams like one of your franchise players should be doing. Because Canales, yes, at the beginning he did give us a lot of good matches and a lot of good situations. He got us into, because we reached a lot of finals. We reached finals, semifinals, but we at the end of the day never were able to consolidate a win. Um, and that is mainly because after the Osa left, after the Berterame left, we were just buying players to buy because we didn't really have a structure behind our team, and we really didn't think like into the future of like, hey, another manager is coming in. Who's going to be able to fit that play style of the manager? Then we're going to bring a totally different manager that, although the players we signed for the previous one are barely coming in, now we're changing our type of play because they have to adapt to the new manager. So it really didn't make sense at any point. Like at some point, you maybe think like, hey, if I'm gonna last 6 years in my period of being a president with like Rayados, I am at least gonna take the first 3 years of like messing around, seeing if I can find someone for the position, and the rest of the 3 years, although somebody does a bad job, I'm just gonna leave them and make them stay, because someone that can build a team from the ground up slowly, taking its time, giving him his tools, giving um signings that are actually going to work for you, contract extensions that are going to be worth it for you to be able to play them in the future. That's what was missing, because we just took, for some reason, I feel like Rayados was taken going into the Liguilla as a must, because yes, we had done it in the past 10 years, but that that let's call it desperate, like they were uneasy if they didn't reach that position, and that's what got them scared to the point where they started just patching and patching and patching, and
Yeah.
it led us to now not being able to qualify.
Yeah, I like I said, just because I think he would. I think when he got hired, was it 2023 or 2024? 2020? No, wait, 2022 or something like that. He's
2022
yeah.
after
I
COVID.
think I think because they've already gone what 2 years. I'm just counting the Concacaf 2 years without any trophy, and then if you want to count the years without a league title, almost four. Do you I guess there was like some anxiousness to like, okay, I have to deliver, which is why you signed oh, here we go, October 2022. So okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, so that had been what, almost close to 4 years on the, like the last time they won the league, and then a full year without winning any type of trophy because one, you won Concacaf in 2021, right? Uh, so yeah, I think he was desperate to like, let's win something right away, right? And then figure, it's like wanting to build your house. I think he just wanted a trophy right away, and that's why you sign all these players that are either in their early 30s, going on their mid 30s, and then you figure out everything later, right? Because if
yeah,
you win a trophy, you buy yourself time, right? It's like Julio Davino. He won multiple trophies, so he bought himself time for people. They weren't going to chase him out, and so eventually, I don't know if the position with the Mexican national team came up by itself, or they were already saying,
I
"Hey,
think he looked for it.
yeah." And so I think he didn't buy himself time winning trophies. I think his project was Dan Ortiz, and when the Dan Ortiz kind of fell off a cliff at the end, because I would say the peak of his tenure, I think there was two peaks: the final, obviously, but also kind of like beating Inter Miami in that Concacaf group stage. So I think that was the two peaks of his thing. But Zami, where are you on this era of like the last 4 years? Even though there haven't been any trophies.
I mean, it's like you said it's that kind of job. You keep it because of um it's honestly it's your job to win titles. Like that's why you're there. That's the main goal. Like that's the whole process that you're doing. And yeah, I mean, we kind of knew after, well, at the beginning of the Club World Cup, because I remember we were literally freaking out that we didn't have a striker, and that's like last resource we had was just go with Sergio Ramos and the squad that we had. I do remember we were like nobody else is gonna get like there, and then the I think it was Johan Rojas that they told us like, oh no, he's gonna go back, but just for the Club World Cup. So we kind of knew
Yes.
that project was not very well executed because it might have been like a good idea of bringing the players that they were like in your prime age and you already won titles, and if you really want the formula of success, it's like, I mean, at least you gotta understand that you have to have certain pattern of, titles, wins, success throughout your whole career. And I guess that's what they wanted to. But again, I felt like it was just like being parched, like trying to find very quick solutions that we knew that after the World Cup, the Club World Cup, we knew that it was gonna be a disaster. Because we lost Nelson de Osa when he was actually at the Liga MX starting to shine because of Canales and the whole situation of them not getting along, and then it was all rumors, and then they started to play well at the pitch, and then we started having Canales out of the pitch, having De Osa, and we were playing very well, and we had Iker Fimbres, and it was that kind of team that they thought like, oh no, we're fine, but they never looked at their bench and at the history of their players. And it's like you have Erika Aguirre being injured all the time. You have both Rica and Hueso that they're not young. You have Carlos Salcedo that he's not just not being good, but his injuries have been killing him, and it's kind of frustrating. Like, dude, why would you even like? You should have retired at that point. But again, it's like I feel like Tato made decisions because he knows how to talk and how to people like him. But at the same time, it's like if if you know that if you want to keep your job, you haven't won anything. I mean, kind of, you did a great job at the Club World Cup, but at the same time, it's like you didn't even got like semifinals. Like you didn't got that far. So it's like again, if you wanted to keep your job, you should have thought like, hey, I'm not actually building the right team because it's not you're not giving a follow up to the young guys, and then the old they're not playing. So it's like, and then you have problems at the in between the teammates, and it's like it's that kind of situation where I think he thought he was doing the right thing, or maybe just the right thing to make it quick or make it work for a little bit of time. But every time that we were doing well, it was Canales having the best game of the season and scoring 2-3 goals and 2-3 assists. And it's like, I mean, I understand why Canales got tired of that. So I feel Tato's work didn't suck completely just because of the individual appearances of some players, but it's just like it was not well put, and we knew it. Like we knew it at right after the Club World Cup that it was gonna be a disaster, but I never thought that it was gonna be that bad, like really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw like when Monterrey couldn't beat anybody in the Apertura season, like any of the contenders that you would think, okay, that's a contender with Torrent, and the only
Mm-hmm.
team they actually beat was an America team that's already kind of like on the same boat as Monterrey, where it's like they're going downhill. rather than trajectorying up. And yeah, I kind of saw that. I was like, you know what, it's not going good. And then when you see Torrent kind of say like, I'm just trying to get back to Spain so I can go spend Christmas with my family, and
That old man.
yeah, man, that was
He
it,
forgot
man.
he had a job.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, no, it was all downhill fast, and I guess we can transition over to Canales now. I mean, unless you guys have anything to add, um, you
We
know,
kind of
go ahead.
brought it up on a previous episode, but I think now that we actually gave it a closing, do you think this season was worse than the season that got canceled for COVID, or are we thinking it's kind of the same level?
I think it's at kind of the same level. At least the position, because I remember there were times when Monterrey was like last, dead last in the table. I think it would
Mhm.
have been the same because that team was not picking up either, and I feel like they had the same attitude, even though like they didn't have like the cachet of some of these players. The same attitude of like, you know, hey, if we lose, we lose. Either way, I'm getting paid. I feel like that type of mentality has just been kind of passed on throughout. I would say like the last 10 years when they've really started spending. I feel like that mentality, something has to change with that culture. I feel like whether it's De Close or Erviti, somebody has to change that mentality where it's like, dude,
Yes,
you guys are like fighting for your Ligia lives. Don't come with like cliches like we have to treat all these games as finals, or there's no we have to the cliche answers. I mean, you had
we're gonna do.
Fidel Ambris today saying like, oh, we are embarrassed and this and that, and it's just like, you know, it's just like just stop talking. It's just like these players. It's just I don't know if it's the culture that that's been created, but it's just like what you're supposed to be talking about on the pitch, not you know in front of the cameras, and it's just irritating, right? It's just like you know it's like when somebody screws up and it's just like why did and it's just irritating for me. It's just like dude, you're supposed to show that on the field, not on the pitch. And yeah, dead last. I remember I saw I remember checking Sofa Score, and there was times where we were dead last, and so I would have felt like it would have been right there. Luckily a pandemic came, but yeah, I think it would have been the same thing. Um, but yeah, we were safe because yeah, that team wasn't getting up either, and this team, I think at some point we just had to like realize this team wasn't getting up, and it is what it is. But yeah, it's we'll just start on the Canales thing now that we've kind of put it, the Tato Noriega era, in a coffin or in a something because that's over. 4 years of no trophies for the men's first team, and you know it is. I mean, he tried, uh, you know, but obviously it didn't work. And the main piece of his project uh, is gone now, as Sergio Canales announced his departure on April 28th. If you're not listening to this on, while we're live or on the same date that we're recording or streaming this, uh, and yeah, I think it's bittersweet. It There was times where it was like this guy was like the best player, like one of the best players in Liga MX. I'd say like top two or three. And he leaves with no trophies. He lives with a lot of good stats, but leaves with no trophies. Um, to me, this era, I feel like he was the right guy to be. If this was like a short term project, that was the right guy to pick. It was just it the pieces around him. I feel like you know they were left to be desired. I mean, I think he never had like a striker of his level. Um, they did bring a center back of his level, albeit Sergio Ramos past his prime. But I mean, considering what we saw these last few months without Sergio Ramos, I would still take a Sergio Ramos at 39, 40 years old over Salcedo or Guzman, who, I mean, they really don't act professionally or feel like they're professional footballers. But I'll start with Sami. How will you remember these last 3 years of Sergio Canales? Obviously, the trophies. It is what it is. But just over on general, what do you take away from this era?
I was really like a really big fan of him, like when he was doing well on the stats, and you could have seen like his commitment with the team. I feel like ever since the incident with the Michelis, it was the Michelis, right? Like the glass door
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
all that. Yeah, so all that drama, the injury. Um, we were finalists and then semifinalists, so we didn't suck for most of the time, and we know we were falling progressively. I really like him, like individually, he would do really great things. And I was always a fan, but ever since the drama started, I feel like you are someone, I don't know if it affected like getting some attention from Ramos taken from him or something like that. I feel like he knew he was a bigger star. He knew he was gonna get more money. He knew he was gonna be part of he was gonna be the captain that we were used to having Canales as the captain and the leader for the whole team. So I don't know if that actually affected him, but I felt it like that. Also, like at the Club World Cup, I don't feel like he actually showed up. Like he was doing okay, but like he was doing back a couple months earlier. I didn't see that like before the drama with the Michelis. I didn't see that at the Club World Cup, and that's where I was expecting for him also to be like, "Hey, I know you have Sergio Ramos, but I'm here and I'm your leader and I'm part of your team and I'm your captain as well." So I feel like the way that he's leaving the club, I already mentioned it. He really broke my heart. Like you could have at least played the last after the last 5 minutes, the aggregate. You could have just be like walking on the pitch because we were kind of used to looking him walking on the pitch and slowing the game. And it's like that's fine. Just go hop in. Um, 8 minutes and just say thank you and apologize because at the end of the day you promised and you were like we're here to win and we're here to get the best of us, and it's just like that. Like I thought like you were really showing us that professional side and that discipline and that example you were giving to all of your young players, and then you're not saying goodbye like the proper way. And I feel like Nico Sanchez saying that he was not ready to play or something, it was just an excuse. And it's fine. That's fine. If he doesn't want to play, that's fine. But I feel like for what we felt for him, because there was a lot of people comparing him to Chupete, which for me, he's still not sitting on that table. He's one of the best. It's like Cardona that he was really good, but he had those problems. It's like those kind of players that we miss him. Like we said, Nico Sanchez, he was the best, but then he kind of had that season that he could have left earlier. Basanta as well, like he could have left earlier. And so it's just like a couple players like that. I don't want to say like I'm not I'm sad. Of course I'm sad because you always want to have a player like him, but at the same time it's like at this point I really prefer to have someone that it's gonna think more as a team and not as I'm here as I'm the individually, but here's my team. So I guess it's gonna be like I'm really grateful, but thank you for leaving. It's yeah, because I mean, yeah, That's what I actually think.
It's kind of it's kind of a difficult situation. I think you're muted, Eddie.
Sorry. I was about to say, does for you, Fernando, do you does that deduct, you know, does him not playing like those last two games, like Donnie said, does it impact you? Like, or does it change the way you see him? You know, because obviously uh, it wasn't I guess
The
beautiful
greatest
exit or something. Yeah,
goodbyes.
yeah. Does it impact
Uh,
you the way you see him go?
yes. Uh, it does. Um, Canales, there's a lot of words to describe him, and I felt like one of the biggest ones that kind of help us understand who he was a gentleman in the pitch. He had that elegance, that uh he had a way of playing that honestly always kind of had the best coming out of the players around him. I felt like he was the one that kind of gave us the value more of like we have to de la hagámoslo bien, we have to do it like the correct way. You want to say that? And slowly but surely, like Samira was mentioning after the Club World Cup, I I did not see the man that lost his spark with the Michelis because it happened ever since. To me, right now, him leaving the way that he is leaving kind of takes that image away from at least myself. Because how are you telling me that the captain of our team before Sergio Ramos arrived, and even the captain without an armband during the Sergio Ramos era, uh, and then when Ramos wasn't in the pitch, he was the actual captain. Leaving that way is kind of devastating for the people who appreciated him. And I mean, for us to see him in the bench during that last game against Puebla, not even warming up to have him possibly, like Sammy said, just walk 5 minutes on the pitch and just like clap, say I'm sorry, and leave. At least that would have gave you a little bit more of a sour but sweet goodbye that would have made things a little bit better. Because yeah, right now it does hurt the way that he's exiting, because that is, in my opinion, and it hurts to say it, it's a coward's way out. He got approached by the remainder of the management team, and it was brought upon him a plan to better the club for the future, and it was talked. He did take into consideration he may be staying a little bit more, but if he does not want to continue with us after showing him, hey, we still want to take you into consideration for our plans in the future. You're just gonna be like a little bit of a side star player. You're still Sergio Canales, and for him to not accept it and decide to leave the way that he's leaving, in my opinion, we were kind
Mm,
of putting a
uh,
Cardona level. I feel like a
I don't
little bit further down.
I don't mind that because I think something with Monterrey's problem is they don't know how to close cycles. They don't know how to close, or they close it too.
Too soon.
It's too end. Like Stefan Medina should have left maybe a year ago, but now everybody's kicking him out. Yeah, Basanta, you're talking about Basanta. Basanta was playing in that COVID year. He was getting, they kicked him out, like, because it was like, why are you playing a 36-year-old Basanta? And I think said, well, I understand your guys' point. I think he saved Monterrey from themselves because it was just clear it had to end. Like, it's
Mhm.
clear. Like, don't just rip off the band-aid. Obviously, people are going to feel different
Yeah.
the way he left, and that's everyone's entitled to how they want to feel on that. But I feel like just it just Monterrey always does this. They don't know how to end cycles, and I'm glad Sergio Canales said, you know what, thanks but no thanks. Here's a use this. He didn't probably say this, but now you have a foreign spot to use. You get his wages off the books, and
Yeah.
depending on how they want to use that money, whether it's using it for a transfer fee or for player salary, you get that. So, and I think Monterrey, I hopefully in the close era, they know how to close these cycles. Whether it's like this, if it has to end like this, then it has to end like this. But I hopefully Monterrey learns how to close cycles, because we've seen cycles kind of extend a year too late, and then it's the players kind of getting kicked out, or just his legacy is getting tarnished a little bit more. Um, got about a couple more minutes on this, 14 more minutes on this. I guess we'll end on this, and it's we can't say who's going to replace Canales, because one, you don't have the president yet. Two, you don't have the coach, so you don't even know what type of formation they're going to pick, and three, you don't even know, what type of style they're going to play. I mean, I would like for it to be Almeida, because at least he's won in the league and he's won outside of the league, albeit in Greece. But
Still one.
yeah, but I think I can ask you this: whether I mean, if you have a player in mind, that's fine. But what type of characteristics do you want somebody? Because like I said, I can't tell you. We can't speculate on what player, because we don't have the coach yet. But do you think? I guess I'll put it like this: do you think replacing Canales, because it was evident this season when he wasn't playing, or he wasn't playing well, there was nobody on that team that can create anything, or replace his production.
And Favored was injured, which was the kind of only one.
How many players? Because I don't know if they're going to go for that type of player again right now. At least I don't know if I think I think if you go for a Canales, you have pieces around him, and he would be like the final piece, of what you're trying to build. But how many players for you is it going to take to replace his production? I'll go because I think it's going to take at least two players, maybe even three. And it doesn't have to be like a number 10. I'm just saying, like, maybe you finally get a striker that can score goals, or maybe Luca Oriano steps up his game, because I feel like he was all right, but you look at his stats or you look at his game, and I don't know if this was just a product of the dressing room, but his kind of started. I thought it took a little bit of a dip, and then outside of like that Querétaro game, really kind of was like, okay, this guy was just taking over the game, and we've seen that with Canales, where it's just like, dudes, like if we win a game or if we tie a game or whatever, it's because of Canales, right? And so I think that's why it's going to take at least two, maybe even three players production wise to replace what he brought. And I'm curious to ask you, Fernando, how many players do you think it's going to take to replace that type of production from Canales?
I mean, depending on our budget, I am still a firm believer that we can solve the issue with one player that has been linked to us in the past. Very natural Brazilian shadow striker that plays for Cincinnati, uh, Evander, which always is brought up in conversations. Uh, I mean, he's not a big name. He has been part of the MLS team of the season for a while now. I don't remember how many years in a row, but he's always brought in conversations because he is a natural player that knows how to play with the ball and is able to kind of navigate his team around to be able to generate as much as they do. And we're talking about someone that, if you are willing to spend a little bit more, is going to be a player that solves your issue with one player. Um, Yes, right now we should not be going for a star player, one of those players that are old in age. Well, there is one that I would accept, but that's like a one-time possibility. That if you're like after the World Cup trying to bring a big name and you know that nobody's going to be fighting, you're going to have your players that are 31 and above start looking to navigate out
Mhm.
of the top five leagues. So like you can start bringing in players like, I mean, there might be, it's always Dybala that is kind of starting to get older. That is going to be a high wage.
Yeah,
You start getting players like, for example, Bernardo Silva, which is now looking to move out of like the Premier League, and he's up there in age. You're going to see players like Casemiro, which if he doesn't retire with Manchester United, he is going to be able to like go somewhere else. So
I if you
we should
take
not
in
bring someone like that.
yeah, and if you take a like the closest coming from Feyenoord, so I'm gonna assume just like I
Raheem
don't have
Sterling.
like their trap. I don't. Oh God, no. Never mind. I forgot. I completely forgot. I was like, I don't think he's brought in like washed technically washed up players, but then you brought completely forgot he brought in Raheem Sterling. Because you know the Netherlands clubs like Feyenoord, it's like young, young to like anywhere between 20 and 25, and then you sprinkle in like
Hmm.
maybe veterans or players that are in their late 20s that probably didn't do well as they would have like playing in a top 5 league, right? From France, England, and Spain, and Italy and Germany, right? Like, that's what I always think about, like the Netherlands. It's like guys between 20 and 25 that they can sell off. Then you sprinkle in veteran players that maybe just you know it didn't work out for them playing in the top 5 league. And so I think that I thought that would be the approach, but then you mentioned Raheem Sterling, so that's
That's the only
yeah,
one
that
that
kind
comes
of
to mind.
you put a bullet in my theory. Zamira, I think I'll ask you this: Monterrey doesn't have like players to like in key positions that you would say, okay, we're gonna build around them. I think Fimbres might have the potential, but I don't know if I think he needs to like step up his game more. Like I need you, this is your just if he's ever gonna, be something like, and I mean like a national team player level, it's gonna be now. There's no Canales. Do you want that position or not? Right? But you don't have a goalkeeper like a bona fide number one goalkeeper that's like, okay, yep, that's his position. You don't have a number one center back that's young and promising, that we have with like Cesar Montes. You don't have a good defensive midfielder, and you don't have a bona fide number one striker. Considering where Monterrey is, you don't even have like the best. You would think
Wings.
Monterrey would have one of the best strikers in the leagues.
I think
But
it's easier to just say that we have Orellano and Fimbres and that's it.
yeah, but it's not even like a key. Like those aren't like top like positions you have to have like elite like can wingers are nice, but not they're not going to win you a championship, right? It's your spine of the team, right? And we don't have we don't have a spine right now. Everything in our spine is old or unreliable. So I think for you, Zamira, mm, I obviously you could. I mean, hopefully having this extra month or two to like really kind of start planning your the team for when the season starts again in July or mid July or something like that, right after the World Cup. For you, which of those like do you think they can fill all four of them, or which ones are you like desperately that needs to be filled if we even want to talk about being a Liguilla team?
Well, I don't know if you saw they made like a comp of plays with Orellano and Fimbres. They kind of played well together, and Fimbres, knowing that he has the opportunity to fill in Canales, he might step in, but at the same time, like you said, he
But then
hasn't
these are
been like
Mexican players. You would think,
100%.
I think with
Yeah.
Mexican players, you're like do they have the drive, right? Do they have that ambition? Do they have that? And that's the thing with Mexican players. You don't
Yeah.
really know. So you're
And
hoping
at
it's
this
different with him.
exactly, and at the same time, it's like if you're not gonna bring someone that like we said, we didn't have a striker, and then they brought Yuka when Berterame left. They forgot how to send this centros. Like they forgot. They were just throwing balls like randomly, and that's not gonna work. If you want to have a striker that it's successful, you can't just throw him like send it to war and be like, yeah, here you go, try to do something, because it's never gonna work. So I feel like you don't want to bring a star with this huge enormous salary, and you have to pay a lot of money for if you want to use his name or whatever. I mean, I'm fine with what we had with Ramos. It was nice. You can do that again if you win your place at the club, the next club World Cup, because that's when you gotta have players like that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like if you're gonna we don't know who's gonna come in.
Yeah.
If the rumors are Almeida, and I'm okay with that because I know it's someone that has his strong character, which we need, and he knows Liga MX, and he knows he got a complicated team at the moment. Chivas was not doing well, and it kind of make it work out, and then he started building a team that it was unstoppable. It was not just kind of luck. I feel like the Chivas right now, it's like they do a good job because they have really good young guys, young players that are doing well. But at the same time, there's a lot of young guys at the Chivas right now, so that's what they're struggling with. That sometimes you're losing that kind of those kind of games that it's just for inexperience. So if we have Almeida, um, uh, and he supports the young guys, and we have Mojica, we have the Nigris, we have Fimbres. I don't know if Garza's gonna come back. That's fine. You have young Mexican players, so bring a really good striker, bring a really good left wing, because I don't know if Ocampos is gonna stay or not. Ocampos might actually step up his game because we know he has what we need, but the problem is like I don't know if people. I honestly don't. If someone else comes better than him, I'll be very happy. If not, you gotta work with him. But at the same time, it's like we don't know how we're gonna play. We don't know what's gonna happen, what kind of style we're gonna be doing, whatever. So if you're thinking of signing players like Brian Gutierrez, that they messed up with that. Like I feel Nelson De Osa and Luca Orellano, they were really good signs for the team. So if I honestly hope for someone to really put effort into young players, because that's what we
Mhm.
need right now. We
Yeah,
need to
we're
have a base, at least a base, because we're facing problems right now. Like we gotta replace the whole team, and we don't want to
yeah.
do that again.
I mean,
So
yeah. There's nothing. Like I said, there's nothing when it comes to like the young Mexican players or just Mexican players in general. There's nobody that's like there's nobody where like we can build around them or we can that can be useful. Maybe you can. There's really no one that I mean. Maybe you give Aceves maybe a little bit more time, but I'm not a big believer in him. Eric
no,
Aguirre is
I don't
always
like him
beat
either.
up. Wessel Reyes is old. Arteaga, you would have thought that he would have been, but again, it's you get that complacency. I think especially
Like,
after like Jesus Gallardo left, when nobody was there to challenge him for his spot. I mean, even then, you didn't get a wake up call when Wessel Reyes was playing games. So I think I think hopefully whatever comes with a different mentality, and hopefully they don't contaminate the players that are there don't get contaminated with like or the players that come in don't get contaminated with the hey, we still get paid at the end of the day. Every 15 days we get to we get to cash our checks, right? So I think it just needs different. I think that for me it's the biggest thing too. It's just bringing players with a different mentality that are hungry, that want to do well, that have like a drive to win titles and stuff like that, right? Um, and we'll see what happens. But again, we can't even speculate, and because we don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, we're just going to leave it there, and we'll see what happens. We'll be back probably next week to see what happens. And as I'm saying all of this, Tigres scores, and yeah, that's just more salt to the wounds. But yeah, I think we'll end this there. Zamira, Fernando, anything you guys want to add before this all ends?
Uh, to what Chronocopio said, we have even our center halves, our youngster center halves that have come out in the past few years. Even Cesar Montes, I feel like he's not even like a bulky youngster. Like all of them come either like lanky and tall, or like not of a solid structure.
Yeah,
Because even
Zamira has to tell them like, you guys gotta hit the gym, gotta work on the. I mean, obviously, you don't want to get
your
too much
protein.
weight, but you need to like, if you're 19, 21 years old, you gotta have some muscle to like brush up a 34-year-old guy off the ball or something like that.
We
Hey,
need a striker
I
like
I
Akin
started
21.
the gym when I was like 26. I'm 30 now. And I've never had the best physique in my life, but it's because I'm putting the effort. And it's not easy, but it's like, could you imagine, like, for me getting paid millions and not being like motivated? Like, what's
Yeah,
wrong with them?
yeah. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully. Yeah, because those Mexican players that we have are also they do come in a little bit too skinny, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah. So everybody, thanks for watching. Whether you're watching us we stream it live or watching it later, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, uh, follow the podcast account at Violos 90 Pod. I think it's somewhere in like freaking uh, there. It's Violos 90 Pod or whatever. Um, yeah, the account got hacked, and X is horrible with their. I don't even know if they have a freaking like a department where somebody physically, like a human, is like taking to all these accounts, and it's not just an AI computer, kind of like. Yeah, so we'll see what happens if I ever get that back, but follow the new one just in case. Like Monterrey, I have to rebuild all this thing too.
From the ground up.
So yeah, from the
Fresh
ground
start
up.
for everyone.
Yeah, fresh start for everybody. Luckily, I'm not in a serious relationship or have kids where it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I think I have this.
You might be
this
starting
is,
a new one
yes,
though. Like...
yeah. But so like everything, hopefully by this time next week we start hearing concrete rumors of either a coach or, I would assume it's a coach. Hopefully a coach. I mean, we know who the president's going to be. It's just it can't be official until his contract is up. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. So really appreciate everybody for listening, watching, and following and subscribing and all that stuff. So for Samira, for Fernando, and myself, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.